Okay, this is the second video about the making of the lunar phase dial, and you've already made it, and I've already shown you how it works. Now we're just going to get a little bit of practice making sure that we're all on the same page and that you know how to use this thing properly. So of course, you always want to make sure that you hold your horizon horizontal and make sure that you're always rotating this thing so that your sun rises in the east, sets in the west. And you'll watch this little arrow to see the time of moonrise and moonset for each phase. And notice, of course, you'll also, that little S there indicates you're looking to the south. That's, of course, for northern hemisphere dwellers. So this will also tell you direction. So if you're looking up in this direction, that's going to be between east and south, otherwise known as southeast. It'll be in your southeastern sky. If you're looking in this direction, between south and west, you'd be looking in your southwestern sky. So that helps in telling which direction you would have to look in order to see a particular moon phase. So let's give it a shot. So in order to have a new moon, what do you have to have as far as the orientation between sun, earth, and moon? Well, this is actually something we covered in the first video. Again, remembering that the head of your paper fastener we're going to pretend is the earth. In order to have a new moon, the moon has got to be between the earth and the sun. Pretty straightforward. Now here's another question. What time does the waxing crescent moon phase rise? Okay, so you'll have to use your solar or your lunar phase dial and find the waxing crescent phase and then see at what time does it come up over your eastern horizon. That's essentially what we're asking. And of course, if you're doing it properly, the waxing crescent moon should be rising about 9 a.m. Okay, it is slightly behind the sun, so the sun will already be up in the sky, and therefore this next question becomes very important. Is the waxing crescent moon visible at that time? Well, probably not, because the waxing crescent moon, first of all, only a small portion of that moon is reflecting light toward the earth. So it's a very small amount of light, and the sun is already up in the sky, and therefore the sun and its huge amount of light is probably going to just blast out any small amount of light that the waxing crescent moon will be sending in our direction. Alright, so when can we see the waxing crescent moon? During the day, you're not likely to see it, even though it is up in the sky there with the sun. We really need to wait for that competition from the sun to go away. Of course, that happens after sunset. So the sun sets around 6 p.m. Notice that your waxing crescent moon is still in your southwestern sky. So then you should be able to see the waxing crescent moon because there's no competition. What time does the waning gibbous moon phase rise? Okay, let's check that out. Waning gibbous. So you find the waning gibbous and you let it rise, and sure enough it rises around 9 p.m. Is it visible? Absolutely. Why? Because it's got no competition. The sun is already in the late evening, so the sun's already down. So the sun sets before the waning gibbous moon rises, and therefore, yes, no problem seeing that one. How about the last quarter moon phase? What is the orientation of sun, moon, and earth? Well, notice in that case, they must be at right angles to each other. What time does the last quarter phase set? So now you're going to take your last quarter moon and let it set in your western horizon, and then just take a look at your arrow to see what time that is. Well, it's noontime. Okay? Is the last quarter moon visible at that time? Most likely not. Again, because the sun is high in the sky at that point, and therefore too much competition from the sun's light. Now, if you've gotten this far, you should be pretty well practiced at the different moon phases, what the orientation of the sun, moon, and earth are, as well as the rise and set times. The lunar phase dial is really a handy device. So, to wrap this up, here's a little extra credit question for you. This is actually taken from a children's book called Go Dog Go. It's written by P.D. Eastman, and it's been a favorite of all of my children. And these are two successive pages in the book. One showing a nighttime scene, the other one showing a daytime scene. And the first one shows a bunch of dogs in a bed, and the text goes something like, "Now it is night, now it is time for sleep, all the dogs go to sleep, they will sleep all night," or something of the sort. So take a good look at that picture, and then take a look at the next picture. The next picture says, "Now it is day, it is time to get going, go dogs go," or something of the sort. Do you notice anything funny about these pictures? Again, picture 1, nighttime scene. Picture 2, daytime scene. It's the same room, it's the same bed, it's the same window. If you're a very, very careful student, you'll notice that the phase of the moon here is a waxing crescent moon. And if you look at your lunar phase dial, that should make sense. These dogs are going to sleep in the late evening, and it would make sense that the waxing crescent moon would be visible in the late evening. Remember, we said that it's essentially visible from sunset till about 9 p.m. or so, because that's when it sets on its own. So in the late evening, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whenever these dogs are going to sleep, you would be able to see this waxing crescent moon. However, which direction would you have to look? You'd have to be looking to the west, in your southwestern or western sky, and that's the key. Notice on the next page, the sun is rising. It is morning. Which direction would you have to be looking in order to see that rising sun? You'd have to be looking in your eastern sky. So somehow, this house has turned during the overnight hours. It was facing west when the dogs went to sleep. Now the house is facing east when the dogs wake up. Pretty interesting. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you've enjoyed the lunar phase dial. Like I said, it's a little supplemental activity, not something that's required to do your lab quiz, but certainly something that will help you learn the material, I think, a little bit better. Hope you enjoyed it.